Welcome back to ZYLIA 6 Degrees of Freedom VR/AR Set User Guide. In this second part, we will cover the installation of the required software and introduce ZYLIA 6 Degrees of Freedom recording application. With the ZYLIA 6 Degrees of Freedom VR/AR set registered and the hardware verified, it is time to install the software, which will allow for recording and rendering the 6 Degrees of Freedom content. That is, the ZYLIA ZM1S driver, allowing your system to detect the ZM1S microphone array, the ZYLIA 6 Degrees of Freedom recording application, which allows the user to record with multiple ZM1S arrays and synchronize them after recording, the ZYLIA Ambisonics converter to convert the recorded files to Ambisonics domain, later to be used with ZYLIA 6 Degrees of Freedom renderer plugin, and the ZYLIA 6 Degrees of Freedom renderer plugin for Max MSP or WIs, used for real-time playback of interpolated ambisonic spheres. We will cover this in a later chapter. Let's begin by installing the driver for the ZYLIA ZM1S microphone array. On the ZYLIA Downloads page, you will find all necessary links for download. Click on the ZM1S driver and download the driver for Mac OS or Linux if you will be using this system. During the installation, it may be necessary to open security and privacy settings to allow permission for the driver. You may verify if the driver has been successfully installed by opening ZYLIA Control Panel and connecting a ZM1S array via USB. The LED ring should change from white to blue, meaning that the ZM1S is now recognized and is ready to start recording. After successful driver installation, you may proceed to download and install ZYLIA 6 Degrees of Freedom recording application. With this application, you will be able to connect and identify multiple ZM1S arrays, send the synchronization impulse to the timecode input, and also perform the synchronization process after recording. Before setting up the hardware for recording, let's do a quick overview of the user interface of the ZYLIA 6 Degrees of Freedom recording application. On the right, the Devices panel will show all the arrays which are connected to the system. You may use this window to rename and identify the arrays. On the left panel are your main session settings, such as the session name to identify your session later, working directory where the audio and session files will be saved in your system, the hardware configuration setup to select the synchronization output device for sending the synchronization impulse to the ZM1S arrays, and the live monitoring device to select the audio output device for monitoring. You may also change the color scheme of the LED of the selected array and the format of multi-channel files. In the middle panel, you will find the microphone setup, which is not yet available but will allow you to load and save the microphone configuration in case you'd like to use the same session later. Clicking on Start Recording will lead you to the recording window. Here, you will be able to live monitor each ZM1S independently in stereo and also control the live monitoring volume. On the color scheme, you may also choose to identify the active ZM1S by changing the LED color to yellow or to disable the LED. In the center of the UI, you may also type your notes and add timestamps for any moments you would like to mark for later. To stop the take, press the Stop Recording button. This will take you to the synchronization menu, which allows you to synchronize the recorded arrays. You may then access your recorded synchronized takes in the directory previously specified. With the ZM1S driver installed and some knowledge of the ZYLIA 6 Degrees of Freedom recording application, we may now start setting up the hardware for recording a sound scene, which will be the topic of the next video. Thank you for watching and see you on the next ZYLIA 6 DOF user guide.